You do worry a lot of people, obviously, in the Republican establishment, though. I mean, you know this better than anybody, and I know you don't like the NBC Wall Street Journal poll. A new one just came out today saying the majority of American voters, 6 in 10, say you're harming the GOP's image. 2/3 have a negative impression of you. How do you go about bringing the GOP back together?
Look, first of all, millions of people now are voting more, as we just said, more than they were 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 16 years ago. Millions and millions of people. They've never seen anything like it. I was in South Carolina and a woman came up who's at the polling. She said, you know, Mr. Trump, I've done this for 24 years. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of higher voter turnout. So you're saying that's bringing new people in and that's going to bring the GOP together?
Leave, but many more people are coming in. You know where they're coming from? They're Democrats and they're independents and they're people that never voted before. And don't kid yourself, the people that never voted before, that's a huge part of it. They are coming in tremendous numbers. So many people have told me that, Anderson. They said, I've never voted before. I mean, these are people that are 60 years old. I'm not talking about somebody that's 18. They've never voted before, and they're coming in. And I've had hundreds of people telling me that just walking down line, shaking hands.
So when Lindsey Graham said in January, choosing between you and Cruz would be like choosing between being shot or poisoned, he's now saying he would go for Cruz.
Yeah, that's okay. Look, let me explain. I was very hard on him. He was very nasty also. They were all nasty. And when they're bad, you have to do something about it. Lindsey Graham started at 7%. I got into the race, and he attacked me. And Lindsey Graham went home at zero. Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, where he's a senator, was at 1 when I was at 40, and I won South Carolina in the primary. No, just so you understand. And I watched this guy who ran for president, and he left in disgrace. He was a fool. He left in disgrace, okay? In disgrace. He made a fool out of himself. I don't think he could be elected again in South Carolina because he ran so badly. Okay, no, wait. Then I see him on television like nothing happened, talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is this, Donald Trump is that. I destroyed him in the sense of we were competing, we were combatants. Then I hear him talking about the war. I've been doing this for 10 years, I know more. You know why we've been doing it for 10 years? Because of guys like him. He wants to attack Syria and ISIS at the same time, okay? Now, for what reason? I want to knock out ISIS. You do one at a time.
So how does the GOP differ under Donald Trump than under President Bush, than under...
It would be smarter. It would save money. It would have balanced budgets. It would have many more products made in the United States. It would have smart trade, not free trade. Now, just so you understand, I'm a free trader. The problem with free trade, and it's a very big problem, we need smart leadership. To have free trade successfully, you have to have a really smart group of people at the top and person. We don't have that. We have people that are grossly incompetent. We're dealing against China. I've made a lot of money dealing against China. I have buildings. I own the Bank of America building, a big chunk of it in San Francisco. I own 1290 Avenue of the Americas. I got it by competing against China. I didn't get it because of China. I competed against them. I won. And I have these assets, these great assets. You know, I've told you before, I have the biggest bank in the world as a tenant of mine in Manhattan. I sell condos to the Chinese. I get along great with the Chinese. I have no problem with the Chinese. I wish we could do it. In fact, I respect China. They've gotten away with murder. It's the single greatest theft in the history of the world, what China has done to the United States. We've rebuilt China with what they've taken out of our country.
I want to ask a couple of things about Ted Cruz. You've talked about the importance, you and I have talked about the importance of being flexible.
And he's totally inflexible.
Cruz says flexibility is Washington code word for he's getting ready to stick it to the voters. What does flexibility mean to you?
Okay,
on what can you work?
It means negotiation. And
so you can work with Democrats.
Look, hey, I wrote the art of the deal, okay?
How important is unlocking gridlock in Washington for you?
It's very important. Very important. We have total gridlock. Nobody can do anything. We have corporate, you take a look at corporate inversions, which, by the way, the senators, they don't even know what it is. We have companies leaving our country. They're leaving for two reasons. Because the taxes are too high, and I cut taxes very substantially, but and Larry Kudlow, by the way, loves my tax plan. Taxes are too high, and because they can't get their money back.
So
they have money. You know, Anderson, they have money outside of this country, billions and billions of dollars, these big corporations like Pfizer, that's leaving now, moving to Ireland. So they have money out there. Every Democrat agrees we should let it come back. Every Republican agrees we should they all agree that we should let it come back. Who wouldn't? In other words, let the money come into the United States. They've agreed now for 4 years they can't make a deal. You know why? There's no leader. I could sit these guys down in a room, and within 20 minutes we would have a deal.
So Donald Trump, as president, reaches out to Democrats and Republicans.
Well, that's the way it was set up, Anderson.
Because there's some conservatives who say, look, it's more important to stand on principle than it is to compromise.
I watched Ted Cruz make a fool of himself. I watched Ted Cruz filibuster for, how long did he do it, for 2 days or something? I also watched 99 senators sitting back and laughing at him and saying, hey, when do we get back to work? Now, they don't get along and everything, so that getting back to work doesn't help either. His filibuster did nothing. What did it do? You wasted a day and a half while he sat there and told stories about Alice in Wonderland.
What do you want to make deals with Democrats on? What do you see room for compromise?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd start with corporate inversion, because I could make that one in about 2 seconds. The money has to come back into the... They have $2.5 trillion, probably $5 trillion, but the government says $2.5 trillion that companies want to bring into the country, right? They can't bring it in. Some companies are leaving to get their money, not just for taxes. They're leaving because they can't bring their money back in. I could solve that problem in 10 minutes, okay? But there are many things. We have to make a better health care deal. We have to work on education. We have horrible education. We're number 30 in the world in education, and yet we're number 1 per pupil in cost.
So those are all things you can make compromises on with Democrats to get something done.
Of course you can. You can't be inflexible. Look, if somebody wants to sell this house and they want $1 billion, I want $1 billion. You got to negotiate a little bit. It's okay.
The other knock that some conservatives make, certainly they make on President Obama, they say he's sort of an imperial president. It's one of the things Cruz is saying about you, even the sort of the pledge that you're having people make at rallies. He says that you're treating your supporters like subjects to a king. The implication being that as president, you would be...
It's just words. Look, it's just words. Ted, it's just words with Ted. Ted is a guy who's somebody, he's a very inflexible guy. You'll never make a deal. You talk about gridlock now? If Ted Cruz became president, you wouldn't have anything done in Washington would be a total piece of stone. You wouldn't make any, just so you understand, he talks about, he's a constitutionalist, okay? The Constitution was set up with senators and congressmen, and you're supposed to work and make deals.
Do you see the Constitution?
And 2 parties, and it could be more than 2 parties, but 2 parties.
Do you see the Constitution as a living, breathing document or do you see it as something set in stone from long ago? Because
I see the Constitution as set in stone. I see it as one of the great documents of all time. I also see it as something that says you got to sit down and make deals. I mean, look, if Ted wants something, health care, and he won't negotiate, the other side's not going to negotiate either. There's got to be a little bit of movement.
And that's key to you to end gridlock.
Yeah, but I'll make a better deal than the other side. Right. I'm going to make a better deal.
On foreign policy, is there and maybe you haven't, you've been running a campaign, have you started thinking about a sort of a Trump doctrine for using foreign power overseas? What criteria do you look at?
There can be no doctrine because everything is different. Every situation is different. And I didn't want to go into Iraq, and I'll say it 100 times. I didn't want to go. They say, well, you were on Howard Stern's show years, before it ever happened. And if he asked me that question, and he's a friend of mine, he's a good guy, actually, much different than you see on radio, believe me.
It's a great interview.
But he's a great guy. But Howard asked me, and I sort of said, well, I don't know. That was the first time I was ever asked. But don't forget, I'm an entrepreneur. They don't ask me about should we go into Iraq at that time. And this was long before we went in. And you could see that I was very hesitant. It wasn't like, oh, we should go in. Look,
what criteria would you use for sending troops somewhere?
Let me just say, going into Iraq, my opinion, was one of the worst mistakes in the history of this country. It was one of the worst decisions ever made in the history of this country. It started, everything that's happening today in the Middle East is because of that one decision to go into Iraq, okay? That was a horrible decision, including the migration, everything that it's a mess. Now, if Saddam Hussein was there, would we be better off? Absolutely. Hey, this was not a nice man. This wasn't a great guy. But Saddam Hussein did one thing, he killed terrorists. He was a professional killer of terrorists. Now, you want to be a terrorist? You go to Iraq. That's called the Harvard of terrorism. Look, whether it's Gaddafi, terrible decision, Hillary Clinton, whether it's Saddam Hussein, we were a lot better off before.
Do you think
and besides that, Iraq did not knock down the World Trade Center, just in case you had any questions.
Do you think Islam is at war with the West?
I think Islam hates us. There's something there that there's a tremendous hatred there. There's a tremendous hatred. We have to get to the bottom of it. There is an unbelievable hatred of us.
In Islam itself?
You're going to have to figure that out, okay? You'll get another Pulitzer, right? but you're going to have to figure that out. But there is a tremendous hatred, and we have to be very vigilant. We have to be very careful, and we can't allow people coming into this country who have this hatred of the United States.
I guess the question is,
and of people that are not Muslim.
I guess the question is there a war between the West and radical Islam, or is there a war between the West and Islam
It's
itself?
radical, but it's very hard to define. It's very hard to separate because you don't know who's who. Look, these two young people that got married, she supposedly radicalized him. Who knows what happened? The bottom line is they killed 14 people that gave them baby showers. I mean, they were friends of theirs, so they walked in and they killed them. There's an unbelievable hatred. You look at Paris, 138 people killed, many, many people going to die in the hospital, mortally wounded, horribly wounded, and they walk into a room and boom, boom, boom. There's a sickness going on that's unbelievable. And honestly, you have to get to the bottom of it.